Well, for me, it's just like I seem to naturally just write comedy, you know, things just seem funny to me. And for me, the funniest things come out of, you know, the play's really about loneliness and despair, my own loneliness and despair when I was a younger man. And a lot of comedy can come out of that, you know, and a lot of, it's quite an absurd play, you know, it's quite surreal at times. And sometimes the experience of stopping drinking and getting sober and the people you meet and all that, you know, there can be a lot of comedy out of that, you know, a lot of comedy out of how your life changes when you stop drinking. Yeah, and Glasgow's a strange city to be sober in, you know, because so much of the social life here is around drinking, you know. So because I moved here very young, drank a lot here, and then stopped drinking here. It was a very strange experience being a young person. I think it's more normal for young people not to drink now, but this was like in the late 90s. It was very unusual as a young person not to drink. And anybody I did meet that was sober was a lot older than me. So a lot of the comedy comes out of that as well, the generational differences and the age difference between the two men. Because when I stopped drinking, a lot of older men would say to me, you know, you don't get a girlfriend, don't think about sex or girls or women or any of that, you know, stay away from all that. And I used to think, but you're married, you know, it's easy for you to say that, I'm lonely here, you're married. How am I going to find a girlfriend if I don't go to the pub? And so his frustration about that, and the older man is, you know, his marriage is kind of falling apart a little bit. So there's a lot of comedy in that as well. So yeah. Well, it was actually Jack Loudon had said to NTS that he'd like to work with me. So I heard this, and I think he's a terrific actor. And I think he's a big star now. I think he's going to be an even bigger star in the future. And I thought I'd love to write like a really great part for him, which is, he doesn't get a chance, you know, he's Scottish, he doesn't get a chance to use his own accent very much. So I thought it'd be great to write a great Scottish part for him. And a really interesting character. So I kind of wrote a character that I thought would appeal to him. You know, a young man who's got serious addiction issues. He's very troubled, has a very troubled past. He thinks he might be an incel. He thinks he might be, you know, have great potential for violent. He's going to do something violent. So I thought that would appeal to him. He's also a very funny character, and Jack's a very funny actor, and maybe we don't see that as much with the characters he's played on stage and screen. I thought it'd be great to see him do more comedy. He's very funny. So yeah, I kind of thought that he would do it well, but he's surpassed my expectations. You know, he just gives an electrifying performance. And Sean Gilder, who plays the older man, James, I didn't have him in mind when I wrote it, but he's absolutely perfect for it. He's terrific. He's so different from Jack. He's got such a kind of gravitas and depth to him, and he's really great at anger. There's a lot of anger in my plays, so it's good if an actor has a facility for rage. But it's also a very funny play. You know, it's although it's a very serious issue, it's something that's primarily done through comedy, and both actors are very funny. So yeah. Well, Jack was very involved in the development of the script. You know, he was there I wrote the first draft and sent it to him, and obviously to the National Theatre of Scotland as well. So, yeah, there was a lot of Jack was very involved in how the play developed and how the character developed, you know. So it was, and like most good actors, he's good at that kind of thing, you know. So yeah, he was very involved. The whole thing is building towards the young man doing his fifth step, which is kind of like the confessional element of the program of recovery, you know, where you sort of go through your life with somebody else and talk about all the things you've done wrong, all the fears you have, resentments and so on. And they never really get around to it because life gets in the way and their conflicts with each other get in the way. But it's funny because the play itself is kind of like, I hadn't realized this when I was writing it, but the play is kind of my fifth step, you know. It's kind of like my confession to the audience of the things I've done wrong in my life, which is a bit of a frightening thing to admit to. When you see the play, you'll understand. I loved having Cypress Avenue on here. You know, it was a real treat. I feel like the Pavilion's audience is my kind of audience, but you know, a lot of my plays have been on places, I won't mention specific theatres, but places in London where maybe you don't reach that kind of regular working class audience, and that's the kind of background I come from. And I write about the kind of things that I saw growing up around me as a kid, you know, which was like in Belfast, obviously the Troubles and sectarianism and all that, but also problems with you know, alcohol addiction and poverty and all that, and that's all part of the play. So I think the audience at the Pavilion really kind of get my humour, you know. But this is a different kind of play from Cypress Avenue. You know, Cypress Avenue was very, very violent and shocking. I don't think this play is, it's certainly not as violent. I don't think it's as shocking, you know, but it is a black comedy. It is funny, it deals with a very serious thing, but I think people, from what I've heard from audiences I've seen it so far, I think people really, really relate to it, you know, and really feel for the characters and what they're going through, so yeah.